Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday. It's October 20th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And I want to start out real quickly. I just wanted to go over, somebody brought this up and it made me think about it. These two lines are closes from the previous day. And previously I was using the 3 p.m., which was this one, because that's pretty much when everybody exits. And at 3:15, actually I was using 3:15 because that's used to be when the market closed. It would close at 3:15, and it would reopen at I think it reopened at 4, and then it would trade to 5, and it would close again. Well, now they just stay straight open till 4 o'clock, and then it closes and reopens at 5 or whatever. So actually, I think it used to close at 3:15. It would open at 3:30 again, and then trade till 4, and then it would close and then reopen at 5. Well, now it just trades straight through to 4 o'clock and then reopens at 5. And this is Central Time I'm talking, not Eastern Time. So make sure you understand that. Um, I'm on Central Standard Time, so I'm on Chicago time. But anyway, we were using the 3:15 close. And I haven't changed those closes, so I was still using the 3:15 close time. So I put I put the 3 o'clock, which most people still exit around 3 o'clock. So I'll put 3 o'clock close time on here, which is this solid line. And then the dash line is the 4 o'clock line. And you can see that's the one that seemed to get the test from both sides. So I believe we're probably going to settle on this 4 o'clock close time as the closing now, because that's pretty obvious and pretty standard. But I'm going to go ahead and leave the 3 o'clock on here and just watch it a little bit and see what happens, because you can see that price came into play early on in the overnight. It was causing strong resistance, and it was actually creating a little support as well previously. So we'll leave it on there for now and see if it continues to come into play. But the one we're going to want to watch for retest and thing during the trading day is probably going to be this 4 o'clock, because you can see we tested it a few times right here before we went higher. Then we came back and tested it yet again, and prices went higher again. So I believe this is going to be the one we're most interested in. So, and the reason we're interested in it is because the opens and the closes from the previous day and the current day, prices tend to come back and retest those, and they tend to be important support and resistance areas. So we'll watch it. If you hear me talk about the closes, that's what we're looking at now. This is a 3 o'clock close, and it's not really a close, it's just when most people are exiting the market. And then this 4 o'clock dash line is actually the close, and the yellow line is today's open at 8:30. And that's where we look for the gaps and so forth. That's why we use that. So those are all important areas. So just be aware of that. But now that I got that out of the way, let's talk about today's chart. It was kind of hard to get a true sense of which one of these channels was correct on the working up. I believe that the yellow one was it. We had the break and new high, and then we sold off after that. I looked earlier on, I looked at another one here, and all of them you can make an argument that they look correct. Let's just make that one red. It's getting really busy here, but you can see that one. I looked at that one too, but we shot right through that. Didn't really come back into play. The gray one, we got a little bit of support there before it turned lower, so this one could be correct. And you can clearly see that midline is in play there all the way up. So there is validity to this gray channel. And we are still trying to retest the high, and we've probably got another hour to go. I doubt we're going to make it now, because generally from 3 to 4 you don't get a lot of movement. Doesn't mean we can't, but generally you don't get a lot of movement between 3 and 4 o'clock. Most everybody exits around 3 o'clock, and the market just kind of chops around and doesn't do much after that. So needless to say, in the end, this looks like a range day to me. You can clearly see the midline here where price is testing it on both sides and so forth. And it just looks more like a range day than it does anything. Generally, your range days, prices are going to be inside the overnight highs and lows. They might break out momentarily. But you can have a range day just like this one too. And that's what this looks like to me, a range day. However, early on it looked like it was going to be a real tight range, and then we just started trending up. So we had a just after the 8:30 from then on, we really were trending up until around 10 o'clock, and really maybe you might even argue till noon because we backed off here and we're trying to go higher again. And then since then, we've just really kind of chopped around inside this upper half of this range here, and you can see that if you move across here, we just kind of gone sideways. We trended down a little bit, then back up. This looks like that roller coaster EMA that you generally get. And here prices go taking off. So we may make a retest of this high yet. I was thinking we may not do it, but looks like there's a good chance we're going to get a new high. So we'll watch that and see if by the time I finish this lesson, if we don't have a new high in place. We're real close there, so we'll see. You can't argue with the price action. But that's the way I saw it. Real early, we had this green channel, but we broke out and we were going higher. And I felt pretty confident in this yellow channel. We got a break here, a couple of legs up to a new high, and then we kind of sold off or went sideways. So I believe it to be valid. Honestly, I don't think you can argue with a gray one either, but it just doesn't hold prices here, and you get a break and prices move lower. So. And there's not a lot of trades here today. There's just not anything to hang your hat on here. It looked like we may sell off. Then you're thinking, well, maybe we're going to go higher. Then we're going to sell off. No, we're still going higher. These are hard days to trade. You pretty much need to trade the trends that are within these smaller trends and smaller ranges and stuff. And there's just not a lot of setups today. It wasn't a very strong trade day. So there's some trades here, but just there was not a lot of them, and especially this morning. Even with this was the best move all morning, and there's not a lot of trades there, unfortunately. So anyway, I'm gonna zoom in here, and I'm gonna talk about what I saw. And 7 o'clock comes right in here as we're kind of dropping down. And it's tempting to go long right there, but there is a little congestion area here. So prices are probably going to snap back, but I felt you were better off to wait on the higher low, which comes here, and you just don't get a setup. So you might argue for this one to be green because it does pretty much make a double bottom there, and it is a failed breakout, but generally that higher low is the better trade. We just don't get one here. And you might even look at this as a failed second entry short, but there's a lot of resistance across there, and you can see it breaks higher and turns down instantly and before it goes higher again. And it's tempting to enter here, but this is really your signal bar, so you can't even look at that as like a double trap or anything. So you just really have to sit tight and wait. And you can see once we do go higher, you really don't get an opportunity to enter, and then you're just chopping sideways near the high of this range. It's holding its support there, but then it kind of gives, and finally you get you make a new low there, and you get a first entry, second entry, and you could look at that as a double test, and you get this nice signal bar. I like going long there. It does confirm this trend line on the yellow channel here as well. And so finally you get a pretty good setup, and you get a good move out of this one. So you could have got a runner on this one most likely. Then we come back first entry, and there's a second entry there, but we already got a break outside. However, you do have this channel working down with a break and a new low, and a second entry long. Again, I think you're better to wait on the higher low, and you don't get one. It runs up here and comes back, and it's just a first entry. There's no failure there or anything. So I just think it's not a great opportunity right there. So, and you're going long at the high of the day. So I think you got to wait, and you just never get an entry. It just keeps going higher. Finally, it makes a new high up here, and you try to go higher once. You actually try to go higher twice there. But I'm a little leery of going short just yet because that time we were looking at the possibility of the other channel that works from here to here, but when it comes back and makes a triple test and you got plenty of room back to the EMA, I like going short there. And you might enter on that one, or actually this one as a failure, because it does make a trap there on that second entry, and you do have a little room back to the EM. The only problem is if you enter this one, you need to do it on the engulfing bar, and that's not always a great idea, especially when there's not anything saying for sure we're going lower yet. But when it comes back here and gives you that triple test, notice you made the high, you turn down, you come back, you make a test, you come back and you make another test. And so you got that triple test, a little bit of room back to the EMA. That's where I like entering. And again, you probably get a runner and a nice move on this one. Nothing long term, but it's a good entry. And then you just start working sideways here until you get a break of this channel, and you also get a second entry short right there. Notice that low, first entry, second entry. I like going. It clearly looks like two legs back to the EMA with a good signal bar there. It is an inside bar, but it makes equal highs. That turns out it runs down, it makes a new low, and then we kind of bounce out of there. Get a little channel working up. You get the break. It tries to make a new high, and notice you test it once, twice, three times, but that signal bar is not good enough. But when you make that next test, and so it gives you a fairly decent signal bar, and you've tried to go higher. Actually, you tried to go higher here once, twice, three times, four times, five times. Prices are probably going lower here. And this signal bar will qualify for a short on a test like that. And boom. And once again, even though you look at the move you get, you probably get it. I don't think you would get a runner here because this one bounces back. It probably runs your stops. Depending on how you played it, you probably don't get a runner. And you don't really get another chance to enter. You don't want to enter short right there. It's not a very good setup. Just a first entry, just three bars stacked side by side. It turns out to be a great move, but it runs all the way down here and bounces. Just simply because of where it bounces, you might think about that trade. So you see this bounces off right at the open, right at yesterday's close. It's also, we bounced here multiple times, and it's so far away from the EMA, and you can see it clearly. It's like an overshoot here. So if you want to, this is the kind of trade you might risk on one of these trades. It's definitely very aggressive. Most people should probably skip it, but if you take that trade, it's a great trade, and you get an easy runner on it too. So, and then it just kind of comes up here and it falls over into, it's a spiking channel is what it is, based off of this overshoot. Now that's rejection. That's what rejection looks like. Look how strong we came into that, and then it just bounces right out of there and keeps going. That's what rejection looks like. That's what you want to see generally when you're trying to find a reversal. I mean, but we're so far away from the EMA, it was we were way overdue to come back. So we run up here and you get a first entry and you get a second entry, and it does fail here, but by that time you got three bars all inside there, so they're side by side, and at least one of them has no body. That's congestion, and you see what happens. It hangs around a minute. It actually tries to go lower again, but you're just in that congestion, and you don't want to go long right there, not after a strong move like that. You want to see something better than that. And it actually does make a double bottom here, and then you get a first entry, second entry, and that's a little better entry on a failure. Go long there. There is a second entry long with a higher low here, and it actually makes a little trap there. So you might consider entering back in. The only problem is by this time it looks very congested again. I'm sorry. And you can see that right there, and you just don't want to go long into that. Once you know you got congestion there, you got to be real careful about going long again. If you'd have taken off here, great, but when it turns back down there, that's not a good sign. And even this one, once you draw it at this point, of course, that's a little after the fact. If you put that over on the right-hand side, that's clearly two legs back in the second entry long in an uptrend, and that's the first close outside this trend line. and it's not a real convincing close at that. So that's probably worth taking. You may let it break higher and drop a limit order in, try to get a little better entry so you got room to get out for the closes. But once it comes back here again, I don't think I would dare enter that a second time, even though it would have worked. And of course, now you got a break and new high, and then we're working down, and that takes you into 2 o'clock. There's no long here, and there's no short here either, really. So just not a lot of trades today. As the higher we seem to be getting here on this rally, the lower the volatility is starting to get. And when you start getting days that swing both directions like this, it just gets difficult to trade because you think you're finally going to sell off, and no, you go back up, and you think, well, okay, we're finally going to go higher, and then you sell back off, and before you know it, the day's over. So not the best trading day. There's a couple of good trades in here, and most of the ones that you could spot would get you a runner of some kind. Maybe not a huge runner, but most of them would have got you a couple more points of runners. So there's still some opportunity here today. Just not a great trading day overall. I did want to show you the daily chart real quick, just to kind of show you where we're at. You can see this blue channel here. Let's just make this green where it's a little easier to see. The green channel, it's still in play. We haven't closed outside of it yet, and we haven't made a new high. We came really close today, but my guess is we're going to find a lot of resistance right in here because this is an all-time high. You can see on this, especially this contract, that's the all-time high on this contract, and I believe that's maybe the all-time high period. So you can easily trying to get it all in here, but I'm having a hard time. There, still can't get it all in there. But yeah, that's an all-time high here, and so we're probably going to get a lot of resistance there. But I would expect prices to at least make a new high here at some point, and wouldn't surprise me at all if we don't start trending higher again. So anyway, that's a look at the weekly chart. I'll give you one more look at the daily, and then we'll wrap it up, or the intraday 2000 tick, and we'll wrap it up. Okay, there's another look at it, and you can see we still didn't make that new high. We came real close. This just further proof that this is a range day. We just can't get above that resistance, which the all-time highs on the right in here's all-time high, or right across this resistance here is very close to that all-time high that I just showed you on the other chart, on the daily chart. So prices are just running into a lot of selling up there. Doesn't mean we're not going to get through at some point, but it didn't happen today. So just too much selling pressure up there, and you can see each time we got up there, it sells off pretty quick. Boom, boom, boom. So the sellers are coming in strong at that price level. So we'll have to see what tomorrow brings, but wouldn't surprise me if we don't get a correction or more of a sell-off and then sideways here over the next couple of days. But I would expect that we're going to try to make that new high first. So we'll just have to see how it goes. So anyway, that's what I saw today. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Obviously, tomorrow we'll wrap up our week. I can't believe another Friday we'll be here again tomorrow. But we'll come back tomorrow, wrap up the week, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next